Hey everybody, welcome back to this segment of All About Onyx. Today we're going to talk about fixtures and groups in Onyx. As you know, we're in a different show file. This is different from our Church on the Hill show file to talk about fixtures. To understand fixtures, we have to understand what Onyx calls a fixture. And in this case, it's anything that has DMX channels. So in this case, it could be something as simple as a dimmer channel. As you can see here is a generic channel, and there's only one channel of control here. It is literally a dimmer channel. That's all this does. So if you have a dimmer channel patched up, just make sure I'm getting audio because I'm wearing a different pair of headphones. They sound kind of weird to me. But as you can see, I've got a dimmer channel controlled. We're going to clear that out. So this is just a single channel. This would be like an old halogen par, incandescent house lighting, ellipsoidal front lights, anything that's hooked to like a dimmer or only has a single channel of control, like a fog machine could be a single channel. Pretty much, if it only uses one channel, you're probably going to patch it as a channel. Just most of the time as a dimmer. The next type of fixture, let's start getting into intelligent fixtures. In this case, we'll look at kind of the simplest fixture I can think of is a par can, LED par can. As you can see, we have dimmer, but we also have a strobe capability on the fixture. So you see I got a strobe channel here. This is another DMX channel. Okay? So this isn't something built into the intensity. This is another DMX channel on the fixture. If we look at color, each color here, this isn't some weird something happening. This is actually color mixing. So everyone is red, green, blue, white, amber, and UV. These are individual DMX channels that bring together the parameters of the light. And if we look at beam effects, there's a couple of light control or functions that's built in. If you've ever tried to control an LED par or anything like that with like a fader, a DMX fader board, you'll understand what DMX channels are. And basically what we're doing is bringing those channels into light in easy to grab places. Instead of you having to know what fader number it is on your little DMX fader board, it's all right here. The idea is to bring everything together. That's why we're doing the series on All About Onyx. Let's take a look at another type of fixture. Let's take a look at a Gamma Borealis. As you see, there's a lot of different parameters that just popped up here. Again, we have intensity. We have a shutter strobe channel here. Again, this is a DMX channel. This is something in intensity. This is a channel. Pan and tilt. This is where things get a little interesting. You have a pan and you have a tilt. There's actually 4 DMX channels being consumed here. Pan, pan fine, tilt, and tilt fine. You have a color. This is a color mixing fixture, so you got red, green, blue, and white. Under beam, you've got a zoom. This is a zoomable LED. Again, DMX channel. This color mix deal, DMX channel. Under beam effects, control, and the fade times, DMX channels. Everything here is a DMX channel. Now, let's talk about something you wouldn't think of as a fixture, but it's under the fixtures in Onyx. That's a haze machine. Okay, so as you see, I selected my Antari Z350 here. And there's 2 DMX channels, haze and fan. So there's no intensity here, but again, 2 DMX channels for the haze and the fan. This is what Onyx calls a fixture, but it's not technically a fixture. You don't think of it as a fixture. Let's talk about something that really isn't a fixture, but is under the fixture section of Onyx. Pro Presenter. If you're in a church setting, you're probably using Pro Presenter. And as you can see, I've got all the DMX channels required to run Pro Presenter in front of me. All the beam section and all that. Again, it's controlled by DMX, so it's under the fixtures, but there's not really what you would think of as a fixture. But Onyx puts it under a fixture. So that's a look at fixtures. Now let's talk about groups. So at this point, we're going to pull back up our Church on the Hill show file here. This will give us a good idea of groups. You don't need that show file anymore. Groups is like having a selection of fixtures that you can call at any point without having to select the individual fixtures. As our Church on the Hill, fictitious Church on the Hill show file loads up here, we'll get a look at fixtures in groups. So as you saw, we had this big patch of all these fixtures. I don't want to have to come in and do this to select all my front lights. I would rather click a button over here in my programming section called front lighting. And if I go back over to the fixture center, you see it selected all 12 channels in the order in which I selected them. That's one thing about Onyx, is it remembers the order in which you selected things. If I go look at the grouping, as you can see, front lights 1 through 12 have been selected in sequence. Onyx saves groups in the order in which you select things. That's very important. So if I click on anything that is it's a group that I selected oddly, it's like if I went 1, 3, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 10, 12, Onyx will remember this as I select it. This is important for effects, which we'll talk about in another section. So, but let's say I wanted to do a weird selection. Let's select, I don't know, the house lights in a weird selection. Let's go 1, 4, 2, 3, 5, 8, 7, 6, 9. I botched that. So let's go. Okay, because that's like how the house lights are laid out, or how I want an effect to run. If I go look at the selection, you can see it's all over the place. I'm going to go save that as a group. Let's call that okay. So now then, when I call that group and I look at the group, see how it's selected weird? But now if I go over here and call the house lights group that way, they're selected in sequential order. Onyx uses the order in which they are selected, not the order in which they are numbered. That's how groups are saved in Onyx. So a fixture is an individual unit, whether it be a haze machine, a par can, a dimmer channel, pro presenter, proclaim. If it can be a Resolume, if it can be controlled with DMX, it's going to show up here in the fixtures section of Onyx. Whereas a group is a selection of multiple fixtures. So instead of having to come in here and click all the front lights to get that selection, I can just click on the group, and as you see, all my front lights have been selected. This is a quick way to make programming for yourself a lot easier in Onyx. Is using groups instead of having to come in every time and select individual fixtures. Groups make an excellent way to select multiple fixtures at once in order for programming. Thank you for watching, and we will continue on this series late. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I do entertain questions about Onyx, and also just keep paying attention to the All About Onyx playlist. We will be answering a lot of questions throughout the time of learning Onyx. Thank you.